you mentioned higher realms of federation, 60 and 70, and how even the Federation 5D races are put to challenge as liberators, others as monitors. It's all part of some other cosmic game being controlled from even above. Can you tell us more about that higher 60, 70 part, please? Federation on those higher realms? As the Earth is a learning place, I don't like the word game. We've been using game. I dislike it. It's not a game. People are not there for amusement. It is a learning process we all go through. Experiences, challenges and lessons we impose upon ourselves using the law of mirrors, meaning that the lessons we go through, hard ones or not, suffering or pleasure, are what we need to experience for our personal growth and that of the species. So, seeing this as from the perspective of, who would you like we use as an example? Aneka. She is a full stellar, having a set of experiences, looking at a planet below her, literally, where she must face the very, very hard task to guide the masses. She also suffers, she also grows, as humans do. And above, she has her guides who are mentoring her using several ways, as humans do. See it as just another step. The world for Aneka is her world. What she perceives here, what she causes, what she manifests. And she knows that from this level, if she is feeling down, if she is feeling insecure, thousands will also feel insecure that day. She cries, humans cry. She laughs, humans laugh. That is a huge responsibility. And others above mentoring her also have an even larger experience, and with it, a much bigger responsibility. Responsibility for creation itself. But as the law of mirrors dictates, that is only what you brought upon yourself, the challenges you need to grow. So, the Federation is just another set of experiences, being guided by others above. And those will have others above with even greater challenges and responsibilities. Responsibilities they brought upon themselves. But it is also a learning experience, as it is on Earth. Just another level, more challenges, more responsibilities. What are the objectives of those guiding from above? The objectives of the Federation is to mentor human race to be launched or relaunched into the interstellar existence. What's the purpose of it all transpiring for the races from 6 and 7D? What's their objective with all this? All minds, all consciousnesses want one thing above all: to expand, to know, to seek who they are and where they belong in this giant cosmic adventure. They want to know. And why do we need to be learning anything in the first place? I was never a subscriber to the concept that life is a school. It just is. The experience. You don't need to be graduating from any levels or passing tests. It's not why Source fragmented itself, I think, to be passing tests, no? They seek what they cannot find anywhere, and many know it. Yet they continue to seek. What they want to find is themselves. But they will never find themselves because they cannot perceive themselves. So they try to understand their own shadows, creations. As for federation with Earth as a purpose, what we all want and what we all seek with humankind is the birth of a new species, humans. Federation races are creating humans from above using consciousness. We are both here to do our job, You and I. We are part of this all. Where your physical body resides does not matter. You know that. What matters is who you are inside, starseed from higher realms. I sometimes cannot know the difference between something I imagined and something that happened. That is what humans are training for, to think, therefore manifest, to control the law of mirrors, to manifest their desires. Why do we from higher plane, where there is no need for anything, just be integrated, care to be birthing a new species in 3D, 5D realm? Why are we so involved with 5D? Why don't we just dwell peacefully in 7D, minding our business? Because from 7D, this is our business. Why? A choice. Why? Why do we choose it? Because it helps us expand, learn, and be more aware, understand more. Why do we need to expand? We already are integrated there. Makes us closer to who we are. But we already are closer to the source than ever there. Why doing things in 5D brings us closer to who we are, if being in 7D is more authentic state of being of who we truly are? We are in 7D because we are greedy, as is source, that everything is. Source is complete, yet it must fragment in order to have even more, to continue asking questions. Because if we are everything, there is no contrast, and with no contrast, we cannot be. You are because you also understand what you are not. The only way to be someone is with the illusion of separation, them versus you. So then, we come to 5D so we can yearn to be whole again in 7D. Are we nuts? Why go in circles? We are chasing our own tail. I am circling Zvaru. Indeed we are. But it's fun. Ask any puppy. It will say it's fun. It all boils down to what we already have said. This is because that is who we are. Why are we circles? Why can't we be still and whole? Don't need to circle. As I said, that is a choice. You stay still, but there is no growth. So after a while, you seek adventure. And then you had enough, so you want stillness again. But I need no growth in stillness. I am all I ever need to be. Yet to be, you need to understand what is not you. And that understanding is what you seek. Quick question. In 7D, are you just the energy being? Or can you have a body and senses? Or if you do that, that's when you come into 5D. Or can you experience senses and body temporarily while in 7D? The higher the realm, the more you can be. That becomes a choice to be, to express yourself as whoever or whatever. So from higher realms, you can be anyone. That's why I say that from higher realms, if they can manifest a ship with thought alone, they don't need a ship. They may manifest a ship for the observers in lower realms to have something to relate to them with. Because if not so, there wouldn't be any point of comparison or understanding between both creatures in different realms. And from higher realms, you understand the needs of those in lower realms. Why does the 7D Federation send out challenges to 5D beings? Or how is it really? If they don't have the concept of duality, on what do they base their drive to oversee what goes on in 5D? Tell me more about the 7D Council, or wherever it is, the one that oversees the Federation. In higher density, you don't have those concepts, as defining the density itself. But from there, you do understand all other densities under it. The higher councils are at a mental level. You think, you are. From that perspective, you astral travel. It is there with full awareness where you enter the council. You talk there telepathically in full capacity, making 5D telepathy really weak, inefficient, compared to that higher density of awareness and telepathy. Mouths and words no longer apply, only if you want to, in order to interact with people in lower densities. There, while in the council you just are. You are seen as whatever you want to be seen, with no prejudice. You can be a talking frog or a little girl. You have your reasons, and they accept them because you can convey your concepts. But mostly, you don't even take a shape. You just are, and you are recognized by your energy. You hold no shape, unless you want to hold a shape. A shape is for something. Interacting with beings that need something physical to relate to. You need an avatar. Up high, you don't. You are yourself. No genders, just a concept. The true, unaltered, genuine you. Svaru, I remember that place so strongly. Recognizing each other by energy, seeing one another fully, in soul, no form needed. Just you, your energy, frequency, just pure you. I miss it. And that kind of connection. 3D is so inadequate for the soul. That connection doesn't exist here. Those beings there, tell me more about them and how they are connected to 5D people and even 3D people in consciousness. Are we part of them? Or they are totally separate entities? Every single soul is them. They never have stopped being them. It is only a process of remembering who you really are. You are all holographic fragments of the whole. Logically, everyone is part of those. Each person, in any density, is someone higher up, higher self. But it blends into the collective. Meaning you gather consciousness and awareness about everything to a degree where even that has a big price to pay. You lose yourself. You knowing who you are as you know, and you work, and you are aware of being many people with many names. That is the price to pay. No longer being one. I am no longer Svaru the Jedi Ronin. Because I am that, and the others as well. Integration and awareness has a price. Yourself, you, identity, particularity. That is how it is in higher densities. A lot of awareness that you are so many people, all within your frequency or range of action of your frequency. And that, from above, becomes your new integrated identity. You blend with them. They become you too. So you cannot really know or see one person from another in 7D, let alone 9D. They are all blended as one. Only points of higher luminosity within a sea of light. A wave in the ocean, inseparable. But wait, you cannot see one person from another in 7D? How do those councils operate then? As one being? As a concert. Individual instruments blending, making complex symphony. You can still hear the violin when it solos, the drums, the trumpets, each coming in at precise mathematically and frequency perfect moments. In a sequence you call time, that you control as well, only for a sequence. You are part of everything there, inseparable, and as every single instrument is in a symphony, irreplaceable, essential. You are the symphony itself. If you have ever played a musical instrument in a concert with others, you know what I'm talking about. In case of soulmates, how do they feel there? Sometimes not even, just another violin, like mine. The concept of man-woman no longer applies. For that, you project yourself as whatever you like, even into lower densities. And being so many, how does one death of you affect you? No longer dramatic. You hold indestructibility. You become a species, not a person. Individuals of a species are born, live and die all the time. You can't, because you are constantly dying and being reborn over and over again. And you know it. You live that from a collective point of view. You said earlier that reptiles, cabal, and everything are human manifestations, egregores. In fact, it was the subject of your official talk to the Federation, and supposedly your exposition has left them impressed. But so this information is new to them, if they were impressed. So logically, they could not lock humans with 3D for their reptile and egregor creations, because this information, how this works, is new and has come from you now with your exposition. So that's not why they have locked up humans installing 3D, no? They don't see things according to my interpretation, because they still have the concepts of evil that is external to them, to everyone, living with deterministic concepts similar to humans. And according to the council above, conflicts and frictions only occur in the lower strata of power of the Federation, such as the Council for Earth. Minor brawls in their eyes, insignificant. I answer your question this way. The frequency and consciousness stratum of the 5D Federation present here is not the same Federation stratum or level of consciousness that locked humans in 12,500 years ago. In other words, the Federation itself is layered. The concept that there is no evil is something that is taken as a fact in higher levels and is scarcely understandable in a practical or empirical way from lower levels such as 3D or even from the 5D, from where the Federation that concerns us here operates. Because these present here of the Federation do not have this understanding. What happened then? Where is that higher consciousness of the Federation? Why has everything gone down? Because since the Federation present here obeys and wants to honor the laws of human free will, the Federation from above must also guide those below them as the more advanced collective. But yes, they are present here, trying to promote a change of consciousness within the leaders of this lower stratum of the Federation. How do these two levels of the Federation differ with regards to dealing with humans? They are not two levels of the Federation. There are multiple levels, as there are also on Earth. Multiple levels of consciousness, and with it of perception, and with them of existential densities. The Federation from above guides the Federation here successfully? Yes, with moderate success and with great patience. But how do they differ, the high-level ones with the ones here? For example, the Federation here, 5D, does not fully understand the human level of suffering and powerlessness. The highest level of the Federation, yes, they understand it. Okay, but if they understand it, the ones above, what does this mean practically? Would they assist humans differently? It means that as some humans only see and understand reality with aspects of nations on Earth, I am Spanish, I am Uruguayan, or I am Japanese, but from the 5D Federation they see everyone as a single human race. From the position of the Federation of above, of whatever density, everything is seen not in terms of races, Federation on the one hand and Earth on the other, but they see everything together. As all the nations of the Earth are irrelevant because they are all the human race, Federation from above only sees beings together in a great cosmic game, leaving the 5D Federation as just another government that must learn, and that is the consequence of its people. They don't see separate races, like in 5D, they don't see separate land nations. They see a set of beings in level 5D, low by the way, on a path of understanding and spiritual development, where they themselves, each person or race, must learn on the go, like humans on Earth. But the High Federation, to call it somehow, is present, as it has always been since the beginning of time, sending their starseeds to incarnate as guides of others. Are they 5D people and also in 3D like you? Yes, like me. Are they in 3D too? Yes, comments Robert. But 3D is not the real world. From above, the real or not real is not understood in terms of material objectivity, hologram, video game simulation or not. What matters is the experience and perception of reality that each person or soul has in each place or level. Good answer, because 3D or 5D, everything is a projection. That's right, everything is an idea. You change the idea, you change the projection. But it is not something that projects out of you. It's just how you see things. Would they assist humans differently? If you say they understand suffering more than in 5D, how does their understanding of assistance differ from how they see it in the lower Federation? Directly interacting with the human population as much as they can, and altering the course of events using the 5D beings that are being guides of humans. Directly interacting with the human population openly as ETs, or do you mean just being anonymous guides? In whatever way, there are no limits, as each one adapts better. The difference is that they do not generalize like the 5D Federation, but they see and determine each case carefully. The 5D Federation simply doesn't have the resources to do that, but from above they do. I am not talking about computers and ships like from 5D. Rather, from above, you have the mental resources to guide in that way, since you operate from a state of no time, or plastic and malleable time at your convenience. What is recognized is that, as with humans, the 5D Federation, which is the lowest stratum of the Federation as an organized institution, must make and grow with their own mistakes in a learning curve. And how exactly do they guide from above, mentally influencing? From above, everything is mind, so mentally, or through starseeds in 5D. And do they influence people in 5D too? Are there results? Yes, there always are. The key is infinite patience. But one thing, if everything is an idea and the projection of the mind from beyond, everything, 3D and 5D, the Federation, Cabal, and everything, we are their idea, projection of them, us. Wouldn't it be so? Yes and yes. So what happens inside our minds there that we have manifested so many nightmares? The 7D and beyond wants this? Why do we project it? Even from above, the understanding achieved in those planes is based on what has been lived in planes below. Even from above, the contrast is needed. But you can't have planes below to experiment if in the first place you do not have the idea of these planes and what might be in them first. So everything that happens in 3D, 5D is inside them. You, all of you, are also them. From above, by nature, the experiences of the lower planes are included. There is no 7D without 3D. I think everything here is some dream of the mind in 7D, 9D. Dream. From above, you no longer need to dream since you already live in the etheric world. Yes, I know, that's what I mean, that everything that happens here is the idea of what happens in our 7D minds. So if there is a struggle and whatever in 3D, it is only the consequence of our own minds, but from above. Yes. So who are the 7D and 9D beings guiding? If we are all here in their own minds, we are not separate beings. Are they guiding themselves? Their own ideas and creations? Why so much fuss if everything is just within their own heads? Beings, us, from beyond. It is the intertwining of the collective of high densities where effectively the concept of the I is diluted. A single consciousness is in all the bodies that exist in the universe, whatever their density. Not projected as something that comes out of a consciousness and is projected out of that consciousness, but rather an idea perceived internally by a particular consciousness that in itself, from a high density, it would be difficult to say where a particular consciousness begins and ends because it dissolves in the collective. So all of us within 3D, 5D are the physical projection of an idea that we have had from higher planes. So are we guiding ourselves here? What a game. We really are gods. We have created everything. Now we are inside as in some virtual game, saving worlds that we have projected, enjoying contrast and illusions of separations. It makes me laugh so much. Exactly, Gosha. And that's why from above, the free will and the decisions of everyone are respected. But Svaru, you know, the more you realize all this, the more you lose meaning and sense in helping or in doing anything like that. It just makes me want to run around and laugh, throw dishes from the balcony. It doesn't matter, right? How to know where you still have to behave according to whatever and when not? Only what you decide, no? It only depends on you. That's why I have always told you that helping or not is your decision. Does not matter. But it does matter to you, and that's something only you can determine. Whether or not the experience of helping helps you. That's why I have said that the world is just as it should be. Yes, but I would like to get to the bottom of all the bottoms of why there is this desire to help. And I know we talked about this 1,000 times. Because it is the experience you want to live, the I and the they. I help them. feed my ego in a good way. But why? Why do we want to experience it? I want to deprogram myself. It makes me feel good about myself. But why? Where does this feeling good come from? That from the particular point of view of everyone. I feel it is something self-programmed, and I would like to reset myself to see me in a prefabrication state. Why? Only you can know. But the basic reason is always the same, and you know it. The desire to know what happens if and if, because of the endless desire for expansion. I want to know what is there beyond myself, prefabricated state. No self-imposed ideas, no desires. What is there? If you take away the self-imposed ideas, there is no Gosha left. You just remain as part of the great collective of high densities. You are only Gosha because you hold attachments to those preconceived ideas that shape and determine you, what forms your I. Exactly, and I feel like they stick to me like layers of old clothes, but it's not me in the higher state. Maybe that's where I long to be, I think. I perceive myself there. Still, even where you perceive yourself, there are still preconceived ideas, because you still say, I perceive myself. That is you, a me, and a person. Yes, that's another layer, but there is even higher. Wherever I perceive myself, I perceive that I operate within another type of ideas. They are not as defined or self-descriptive. It is another type of I, not experienced from here, asks Robert. But in those high states, what do you experience if you have already integrated everything and you know you are eternal? All the way high, you don't experience. You are everything. You can only experience if from that state of total illumination, you concentrate on a small part of yourself, of what you perceive within the great whole. And that small part that you have decided to perceive is the same as and what defines an incarnation in low densities or of any density. You are everything. So you only decide to see a small part of yourself, to experience the I. From above, you are everything. There is no I. It is only the eternal collective. There are no experiences. And there are no experiences because everything is integrated and out of time. And without the perception of the sequence of events, there is no experience. But there are degrees between being all and being me, like here in 3D. In the state where I perceive myself, I am not all yet. I am, but the idea of I is different, not defined as here. Gosha, yes, there are degrees. That's why there is 3D, 5D, 6D, 7D. If you feel integrated into the whole, but still being a Gosha concept that is apart from the others, that is equivalent to an understanding of 7 or 8D, where there is still an I concept present. That's why I think that where I perceive myself is not the source itself. It is not the total illumination. No. There is still some kind of self-observation of me. But it is like more collective, expanded. No ideas to help or not help, put this on or that. It is another type of existence. There is my home, not even taigeta or anything material. Densities as examples, rhetorical. We already know that it is a gradient, and there are as many densities as there are consciousnesses. Note that the state of the source, the unification of the whole, state of perfect illumination, there is no self, there is no experience, so it is equivalent to nothingness, emptiness, and not even that. Impossible to define, because if you define it, that is not. So total enlightenment is equivalent to not being. And that's why you prefer to live in densities where there is a notion of being, from an I. In 9D, there is only a concept of, or the idea that something could be formed below, an intention. The I is almost completely dissolved in the collective consciousness.